Hey everyone, my name is Scott Hale.
Hi everyone, my name is Cameron Hale.
I'm the actor, writer, director, producer, editor, a little bit of everything.
I am also writer, director, producer, editor, actor in Free to a Bad Home,
And you're watching Kings of Horror.
and you are watching Kings of Horror.
So to describe Free to a Bad Home, I would say it's a horror anthology about three strangers whose lives become interlinked by these cursed objects. Um, and then those who spread them trying to sow chaos and terror wherever they go.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out the KOH premiere of Free to a Bad Home from Terror Films. With us now we have Cameron and Scott Hale of Hale House Productions, who are the two writers and directors of Free to a Bad Home. First off, guys, thanks for joining us for a quick chat to talk about the movie. How did you first get involved into filmmaking?
So basically, Scotty is older than me. He's my older brother, and naturally, him being the firstborn, he got to watch pretty much any movie show he wanted without censorship from our parents. So naturally, me and my twin sister, who did the effects for Free to a Bad Home, amongst other things, me and my sister would kind of have to sneak watch everything we wanted to watch. And Scotty, being the great big brother he used to work at a movie gallery, if anyone remembers that. It was kind of like the other version of Blockbuster. And he would bring home like Day of the Dead, stuff like this. And I would watch it with him in his room. And then my aunt, Mary Ann, God bless her, she is also a huge horror nut and would let me watch like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead with her. So I was getting like a healthy dose of movies and horror content, specifically from a young age.
I've always considered myself a writer, and so that's primarily what I've done to kind of express myself creatively. I mean, I've always loved movies, kind of the same pathway that Cam described, with just being surrounded by people who are like super into horror, and then kind of falling in love with it myself.
So ever since then, I wanted to make movies, and no one's just going to hand you over money to make a movie. And so me and Scotty just kind of decided one day, like, we just said, fuck it, let's make a movie.
And for a long time, when we both lived at home, we talked a lot about making movies. Kind of tried our hand at a couple things here and there. If you dig deep enough on YouTube, you can find some of our shorts. But like Cam said, at some point, once we were secure in our jobs, kind of got the adulting thing down. We just said, like, screw it. Like, why don't we try our hand at making a movie? We've got enough time and money, and we can actually get the equipment. We can actually do it. We'll temper ourselves a little bit because it's our first thing that we're ever really trying to like legitimately film. So, we'll just write it for like friends and family, and maybe it'll serve as like a proof of concept. For someone to see, like, well, maybe these guys know what they're doing. Like, let's see what else they've got. And that was Entropy. But what it ended up happening is that it kind of turned into something a little bit more professional, with more than just friends and family involved. And so it kind of jettisoned us into this track of making films, and we learned a lot from that. And that's what brought us to Free to a Bad Home. We took everything we learned from that experience, which was just going to be something really small and basically practice, and turned into something a lot more. And then took all that we kind of learned and refined and did it here again.
That's how we got into filmmaking, was just like, we just want to do this. Let's figure out how to do this, because it's been in our lives forever, is movies. I mean, that's just in our DNA at this point.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this started out as a short film, correct?
Yeah. So when we were in post for Entropy, I was getting very stir crazy. I wanted to get out. I wanted to make something else. And so I wrote what at the time was called Isolation, which was just a working title. I knew if it ever got made, that title would never stick. So, but it was what turned into Amy, which is the first segment of Free to a Bad Home. So we went up there to like Harrison, Ohio, and not Olivia Davis, Haley Sunshine. She was also in Entropy. She was gracious enough to come back and help us make this film, and she told us about her family farm up in Harrison, Ohio. We got permission to film up there, and her whole family was amazing, and she was great and let us come up there and film. And we filmed what would turn into Amy. But after we finished Amy, we were all extremely excited about it, and I was kind of coming up, Scotty as well, with other ideas for shorts. And then Scotty, being the genius he is, he's like, well, obviously we want to use Miranda again. Why don't we just connect it all? I was like, yeah, let's do that. So after Amy was finished, at the time, it was Isolation, then Interment, and then eventually Amy. But by the time Amy was finished, we were fully figuring out what our what Free to Bad Home would be, and everything that kind of established in that short. We obviously, if you've seen the movie, that's the precursor for what the entire film ends up being. Everything's kind of set up in that, luckily.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is your favorite behind-the-scenes story from Free to Bad Home?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. For me, some of it is a bit of a blur. There were some really long days, so I feel like I'm missing some things. But I don't know. I think just for me, for the third segment, Julia arrived at the Halloween party. We spent a lot of time getting that warehouse that we filmed in set up, looking like a Halloween party, and building a maze and stringing thousands of lights and just all these decorations that we just borrowed from everyone we knew, and to finally turn the lights off, crank up the fog machines. It was really rewarding to see all that work come down. Shit, this looks like a legit, really this would be a cool Halloween party that I'd want to go to. So that was really cool. Something I had forgotten about until just now. One of the nights that Cam and I were cleaning up after everyone had left. I can't remember if we had wrapped or not. Probably, because I remember us tearing up stuff. We were at that warehouse, and all of a sudden there was a knock on the door, which was weird because it was probably 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and it was a police. It was a police officer. He's like, "Hey, what y'all doing? Just checking out. There's usually no one here this late at night." And then behind us is this destroyed set. There's blood everywhere. There's fog. Probably something to investigate, but I don't know. I guess we kept our cool when he went on his way.
Okay, I feel bad saying this, but so we're filming Amy. It's basically a little farmhouse on this vast property, and we're filming a scene it's in the trailer when she goes upstairs. It's the reddish lighting. She goes up looking for her phone. You see something in the sheets kind of lift up to watch her, and she doesn't notice it. So when we're filming that scene, it's late. We've been filming all day. I probably hadn't drank any water for 90 days at that point, and so I am directing Ben, who is behind me. Actually, that's Ben. I'm directing Ben to basically avoid the door, because in one of the takes, an alternate take is he stands up and walks out with the whole sheet on, and after she leaves. So that was an alternate take. So that part's not in the movie. But I was telling him to avoid the door. I'm telling him to go left, which I should have told him to go right, because he's coming the opposite way, so our rights and lefts are flipped, and I'm just not thinking about it. And I'm like, go left, go left, because he kept going to us, so he smacks right into the door. I almost passed out laughing so hard. He was fine, by the way. But I was just like, oh shit, sorry. And I look around at everyone like the DP will, and I'm like, why didn't no one correct me? You know I was saying in the wrong direction. But yeah, that's probably my favorite little behind the scenes story, is just because he ended up okay. Obviously, if he ended up hurt or anything like that, it would not have been a good story. But it was totally fine. It was just funny.
So I just want to kind of do a quick breakdown and rundown of each story. So we have Amy is the first story of the film. Amy's dealing with the death of her husband. Her sister comes to keep her company. There's a mysteriously cloaked figure that's stalking the area. And you find out at the end of the segment, spoiler warning here, that Amy actually killed her husband, who, and correct me if I'm wrong, from here on out, moving forward with any of these stories, Amy kills her husband because he cheated on her. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's, for those who've seen it or haven't seen it, it's told a little out of order. It kind of gives the impression that they've gone through something. And yeah, you don't really learn until the end that she ended up murdering her husband, who was cheating on her with, I don't think we really explicitly say who she is, but her sister, right, Cam? Cam wrote this. I don't remember.
So it's her sister, but some stuff got trimmed a little bit here and there. But it is her sister. But yeah, it was like a non-chronological possession take, if you will, because the cursed object is obviously, taking her over at this point, turning into her villainous. And it was just kind of fun with that segment, just because, like, it is told out of order, which was done on purpose. And eagle-eyed viewers would hopefully notice that when Jill, the sister, shows up in the forest, she's wearing that red, like, sweater. That's what Amy's wearing at the beginning. So because she gets all bloodied up from killing them, she's wearing her sister's clothing, because obviously they didn't have clothes on when they were having, rolling around the sack. So, there's like little details in there that, like, because I kind of, for me personally, when I wrote it, I like having details that it doesn't affect the story one way or another, but it's at least some thought went into it that, like, if you're paying attention, you're going to be rewarded with, like, little things like that. So that was the idea behind that.
Yeah, well, I can already tell this film is one that will definitely benefit from a repeat viewing to catch all those little details sprinkled throughout. Moving on to Orion, he breaks into this house to steal things because he owes money. Then he finds this girl chained up in the basement, and then he frees her. Turns out she's a demon.
Yeah, so way back at the beginning of the movie, Amy and her husband are jogging through the neighborhood. They find the creepy box with Rita with good home on it, and they take the ring out of it, which is the ring she's wearing in Amy that he gave to her like a scumbag because he found it on the side of the road. And then in the second segment, Ryan is just totally not connected to any of this. He's just looking for a house to break in. He's got some score that he needs to settle. So he breaks in, not expecting a whole lot, finds Amy chained to a bed in the basement. At this point, she's fully possessed. There's a picture on the fridge when Ryan's kind of searching through the house of her husband, implying that it's his parents' house. In the beginning, he talks about how they visit them and they're like kind of weirdly religious, and so kind of the implication is like Amy and whatever her demon-fueled stupor kind of made her way there to fuck with them a little bit, and something went wrong along the way. But now here she is, and she's got a deal to make with Ryan, even though she really doesn't need his help. It's just kind of, how demons be. They just enjoy that.
And going to the last story, Julia is actually dating Ryan. Is that correct?
It's actually her brother.
Oh, it's her brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's not really. It can go either way. It's not really stated or not stated. Because you just know that they're connected, and that's how she gets the ring. But in my head, it's brother. But it's not especially stated. It can go either way.
And then, at the end of Ryan, she, at that point, she's taken over. So she knows what she needs to do to kind of keep this carrying along, and kind of messes with him and gives him that ring as part of his, like, loot, essentially, that he's stolen from this house. As kind of like, you let me free, you can have whatever you want. But I'm going to keep on killing people if you go with that. So, she finds it amongst, like, some of his crap on the table, and this looks pretty, and takes it. And then kind of through the course of her story, when she's kind of chilling in the car, doing the drugs with her friends, kind of see the influence of the object on her, and she kind of quickly, like, oh shit, actually the party's over here. Sort of this implication, like, it sort of tricked her, essentially, like, actually, you want to go over here where Amy is, we're going to reconnect you all back up together, where they're doing whatever weirdness that they're doing.
So what other types of horror films or influences had a part on For You to a Bad Home?
So for me, everything for me tends to go back to, like, Giallo films. I talk about it a lot, but I really, really love Giallo. Yes, especially like Dario Argento's work, Lucio Fulci. I love them, and I also love Ty West, specifically House of the Devil, which was my biggest inspiration, especially for Amy when I went up to shoot Amy. And so just, I mean, I don't really dislike any particular type of horror. I love it all, but I definitely gravitate more towards 70s, 80s vibes, more so. And that's a lot of where Julia aesthetic came from, really, was I want to make, because like, yeah, the first two segments, they're kind of chill for the most part. And so we want to, all right, we really want to end on like a bombastic, like anything goes, drugs, dripper, or water drippers in the eye to make them high. Like, let's go for it. It looks cool. We do some rear projection, make it look all funky. And so like it might, yeah, it's definitely like 80s, 70s for me at least.
Yeah, Cam had most of the hand in writing, Amy. So I mean, I agree. I definitely see the Ty West influences there. We talked a lot about like the collection for the Ryan segment, which is not, I like those. They're like not my favorite movies, but I think they're super entertaining. But I love the idea of like, and that kind of goes back to the Jallo thing too, like someone seeing something they're not supposed to see and then being wrapped up in the mystery. And I think we both really like movies that use like a really heavy amount of like darkness, like really impenetrable sort of blacks. Like for me, I think things are creepy when you think something's there, or you know something's sort of watching you. There's like no stingers or anything to to tell you should be scared. So I felt like we kind of leaned from that. But then of course, like for Julia, like the Jallo influences a little. I think a little like Gaspar Noé from like Enter the Void and things like that. So just a little bit of everything. I personally love like body horror and things like that, and maybe we got to do a little bit of this here. But I would love to do more of that for future things, even though we did a ton of it.
What is the biggest thing you want the viewer to take away from watching this film?
I just hope after the viewer watches the film, they feel like they've seen something kind of fresh, because that was kind of our intention. Was we want to take like the anthology format, which is a tried and true format, and rightfully so, it works. They have the wraparound, you go into the story, you get out of the story, back to the wraparound, back to the next story, and it kind of just keeps connecting as it goes through. And me and Scotty, like we talked about this heavily when we decided to actually make this a feature, is we wanted to like kind of give our own spin on it. So that's why we open on a wraparound and we end on the wraparound, but we don't actually leave the story. So like it just goes from like Amy to Ryan to Julia, because we didn't want to break that immersion. And I hope like after viewers watch it, they say, "Wow, that's that's a different way to do it." And I hope they like the way we did it. But I hope there's like a sense of like they saw something a little bit more original from like a pretty established format that we just kind of tinkered to our liking.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I mean, everything Cam said, we just wanted to kind of do something different with the anthology aspect of it while kind of staying true to it too. And just for someone to watch and like, this is cool. I don't really know where this is going. But it's kind of fun, like trying to piece it all together and because there clearly is like a narrative driving through it, unlike some anthologies. And just to come away from like, cool, that was different. I wasn't quite expecting that. That was more than what my expectations were, like based off the trailer or like kind of what I know about the production. So that was just something new. I feel like it's not always the case with a lot of movies that come out. That doesn't mean like things are always wildly successful when they try something different, but I think it's worth the risk.
We want to thank Kameron and Scott Hale for joining us to talk about the film a little bit. And want to thank you for joining us for the KOH premiere of Free to a Bad Home. If you missed it, caught this, the link to the film is in the description. Check it out. Check out our Patreon where we have a new video up where Kameron and Scott, they actually do rapid fire questions. They answer 4 or 5 questions, rapid fire. It's a good time. So go over to the Patreon, check it out. Tiers as low as $1 a month can get you access. $5 a month gets you access to all the exclusive video content. And stay tuned for more films, interviews, and more original content coming here on KOH. Thanks.